She was placed in a cell with child murderers. No criminal record, no conviction. Just a woman who knew too much and someone powerful enough to make her disappear.
They put her in a cell with, quote, child murderers, quote, me, who has no criminal record. I was terrified, she recalls. When Zampoli learned that his ex-girlfriend was being held in custody, he contacted a senior ICE official so that she would remain jailed and be deported, thereby allowing him to secure the custody of their son that he had long sought.
This is not a rumor. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a documented sequence of events involving a former Brazilian model, a senior ICE official, a custody battle that suddenly resolved itself, and a first lady who broke her silence at the most suspicious possible moment. And the interview that was supposed to expose all of it? It ran without a single mention of Melania Trump. Her name is Amanda Angaro, former model, brought to the United States as a minor. She says she was on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane, surrounded by 30 young girls. It made her deeply uncomfortable. She never forgot it, and she never forgot who else was connected to that world.
Angaro, a former Brazilian model, she was brought over here when she was a minor. She was on Epstein's plane. She says with 30 young girls, it made her extremely uncomfortable. She knew Melania and her ex, Paulo Zampoli, knew and knows Melania. Amanda tweeted on April 9th, shortly after midnight, "We'll take legal action against you and your pedophile husband." This was tweeted in response in the replies to First Lady Melania Trump. "I have known you for 20 years. You knew I was detained in ICE. You were present in my life every year on my son's birthday, even sending Secret Service and being the first to congratulate him back in 2016. Something was clearly wrong, but I'm not part of any evil mission involving children. So what did you do, Melania? You tried to involve me, but you failed because I have character."
Amanda knew Melania Trump, not casually, not from a photo. She knew her for 20 years. Her ex-partner, Paulo Zampoli, was one of Melania's closest confidants, in regular private communication with her through direct messages. The two couples spent New Year's Eve together, White House Easter parties, 4th of July celebrations, all of it documented publicly on Instagram by Zampoli himself, the same man who was later appointed special envoy for global partnerships by his close friend Donald Trump. Now here is where the story fractures, because the version you are being shown in the mainstream press and the version that actually happened, they do not match. On April 7th, Amanda sat down for a major interview with El País, the most respected newspaper in Spain. 4 days later, that interview published. And here is the part that should stop you cold. There was not a single word about Melania Trump in it.
Why did I highlight that? Because this interview she did, which published today, Sunday, April 12th, she sat down for it on Tuesday, April 7th. That would be 2 days before Melania Trump made that unexpected statement. So we got April 7th, she sits down for the El País interview. April 9th, 12:58 in the morning, Amanda threatens legal action against the Trumps, says, "I'll take you and your pedophile husband down." Later in that day, Melania Trump unexpectedly gives this statement. By the way, the White House had put out that Melania was going to give the statement, but it was still very unexpected, and it was not known what she was making a statement for. The day after the statement, April 10th, Amanda's ex, Paulo Zampoli, tells Sky News, "I'll testify to Congress that I was the one who introduced Melania to Donald Trump, not Epstein." And then April 12th, today, this El País interview comes out.
Not one line. Despite the fact that Amanda had been publicly and loudly threatening to expose what she knew about Melania and her husband's connection to the Epstein network. People claiming to be in direct contact with Amanda are saying El País edited those statements out entirely. The journalist who broke this story reached out directly to El País asking one specific question. Did the White House or Melania Trump's representatives contact you between April 7th and publication? No response yet. But understand this. El País is a reputable paper. If Amanda said things about a sitting first lady, legally, they would have had to contact her team. And Melania Trump knew that interview existed before she ever opened her mouth.
And as I record right now, there are people on social media who are claiming to be in direct contact with Amanda Angaro, saying El País edited out things she said about Melania Trump. I can't confirm that, obviously. I have reached out to El País, the Spanish newspaper, to ask, Did Amanda Angaro give you information or say anything about Melania Trump? And was it edited out? I also asked, from the time of your sit-down interview with Amanda Angaro, which happened on Tuesday, April 7th, to publication, did the newspaper get any overtures or outreach from the White House or Melania Trump's representatives? Because this stuff happens all the time where politicians try to kill stories, including with international papers. You better believe Melania Trump knew that El País was doing this interview before she went to speak. And you better believe El País is a reputable newspaper. If Amanda Angaro said things about Melania Trump, they would have to reach out to Melania Trump's representatives as well as the White House if it involved Melania Trump. Just for legal reasons, we've seen the Trump administration and their legal crusade against.
Because 2 days after Amanda sat for that interview, at 12:58 in the morning on April 9th, Amanda posted a direct reply to Melania Trump on social media. She wrote, "I have known you for 20 years. You knew I was detained by ICE. You were present in my life every year on my son's birthday. Something was clearly wrong. But I'm not part of any evil mission involving children. So what did you do, Melania? You tried to involve me, but you failed. Because I have character." Hours later, Melania Trump released an unexpected public statement. Barely knew Epstein, barely knew Ghislaine Maxwell. The very next day, Paulo Zampoli told Sky News he would testify to Congress that he, not Epstein, introduced Melania to Donald Trump.
Media. From the El País story, the two couples talking about Amanda and her ex, Paulo Zampoli, and the Trumps also spent other New Year's Eves together, a White House Easter children's party, a 4th of July celebration, all meticulously documented on Instagram by Zampoli, the man who introduced Melania to the president and who was appointed special envoy for global partnerships by his friend. That is contested, by the way, because there are reports that Epstein introduced them, but Zampoli claims he was the one who introduced them. So that's the background, that the couples were close. They spent a lot of time together. By reports, Zampoli, not Amanda, but Zampoli, her ex, was in regular communications through messages with Melania.
3 people, 3 statements, 72 hours. That is not coincidence. That is choreography. Now go back further. Amanda had been fighting Zampoli in court, pressing for child support, filing contempt motions, pushing hard. He wasn't responding. Then, the day before her arrest, her attorneys filed aggressively for contempt.
Something interesting happened. Let me play it for you.
What was very, very interesting to me above anything else is the fact that the day before Amanda was arrested in Florida, she and her attorneys were filing for child support. They were filing contempt against Paulo. And almost immediately after she was arrested, Paulo Zampoli and his attorneys began filing to modify the custody agreement, the judgment, the order, whatever was decided upon. So, we have no response to multiple contempt-related documents and motions from Amanda's attorneys. But then as soon as she's arrested, he and his attorneys file to modify child custody, visitation, whatever.
Isn't that interesting?
The very next morning, 10 police officers stormed her Florida home. Anonymous tips, fraud charges at a cosmetic clinic she and her husband ran. Her husband, a Brazilian doctor with a green card, was released almost immediately. Amanda was transferred to ICE detention. Zampoli, who had been ignoring court filings for months, suddenly called a senior ICE official. Suddenly, his lawyers began filing to modify custody. Suddenly, the woman pressing contempt charges against him was in a cage in Louisiana, handcuffed at the hands and feet, sleeping on a wet floor with 120 other detainees. No windows, 4 days without sunlight, coming out covered in lice.
And by the way, while she was in that ICE torture prison, she experienced hellish conditions, including full-blown lice. Handcuffed at the hands and feet, she was transferred to an ICE center in Miami, where she spent 3.5 months in complete horror. Her husband, who had a green card, was released. Quote, "I volunteered to scrub the floor at 6 in the morning so I wouldn't go crazy. I spent the whole day crying. I read the Bible from beginning to end. She helped others, sharing with them her phone credit to make calls. She claims that there were detainees with residency permits, an octogenarian handcuffed to a wheelchair, and a young woman who had just lost a baby and had to wait a long time to receive medical care. To proceed with the deportation, she was taken to Louisiana. Quote, "It was a hall with more than 120 people. The floor was wet. There were no windows, 4 days without seeing the sun. I came out infested with lice."
She voluntarily deported herself just to survive it. She is now in Brazil, fighting to return, fighting for her son, and fighting to be heard. El País has not answered. The White House has not answered.
This is not about a custody battle between a woman and a man. This is about, why did Melania Trump really come out? And what does Amanda Angaro know? I will follow up. Again, I did reach out to El País newspaper to find out, did they edit out anything she said about Melania Trump? I don't know if they'll get back to me.
And the section of that interview where Amanda allegedly named Melania Trump, it does not exist in the published version. So ask yourself, when a woman with a 20-year relationship to the First Lady ends up in an ICE torture facility the moment she threatens to talk, and then a major international newspaper publishes her interview with the most explosive parts missing, who exactly has the power to make that happen? Drop your answer below, and if you want the stories the mainstream press won't touch, subscribe to Viral Spills, because we are just getting started.